Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our introduction to the EV Technician Program webinar. We're very happy to have you here with us today. We're very excited to give you an overview of our new Electric Vehicles Technician Program. So we've got lots to cover. Let's get started. My name is Scott Duncan. I'm the Manager of Business Development here at GBC Tech Training. And I'm your host, and I'm joined by Geet Amin, our Senior Support Consultant, who will also be hosting today. Say hello, Geet.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our EV Technician webinar today.
Thanks, Geet. Here is today's agenda for the webinar. We are going to spend 20 minutes or less on an overview presentation about the program, and then we're going to move into Q&A with chats. We have pre-submitted questions, and we'll take questions as we go. Please, as you absorb the content that we cover in the presentation, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to put them into chat. My colleague Iris, say hi, Iris, are you there?
Hi there.
Iris is monitoring the chat, and she will be answering questions as we go. And she'll answer questions that she can during the presentation, and then she's also going to share those with us at the end, and we'll cover off on anything that we haven't been able to cover. Let's see. The one important thing for you to know is to get to that chat is the button is on the Zoom control at the top of my page. I think probably the top of everyone's page. So you can access the chat there. And one detail: the session is being recorded so that we can share it with you and others in a full recorded version at the end. Okay, let's jump right in. We're here today to talk about electric vehicles and our program that serves technicians in this area. I think we're all here because we all see the emerging opportunity in this really interesting field. We've had a very exciting year or more working to prepare this program, and now we're very, very happy to have launched it in late August, and now we're really trying to bring it to people's attention and to launch the program as fully as we expect to. The background a little bit on this marketplace, if you don't know this, and if you don't have the details, it's important to understand where it's all going and what the emerging opportunity will become as all of this takes shape. The important window of 2030 is coming quickly. In California, all new cars will be EVs by then. In 2035, all new cars in Canada will be EVs. So that's going to change the transportation landscape significantly. Along with the electric vehicles, of course, comes the charging stations. A little bit of data on that. In June of 2022, there was about 16,000 of those in Canada. The government has funded in its budget as funding for 83,000 charging stations for 2026. So that's going to be an incredible 5 times increase in 4 short years. So there's going to be an incredible amount of activity around installing charging stations, and obviously they require a whole infrastructure around maintenance and troubleshooting as we go forward. So ultimately, what that's going to take shape as is with the system, once it stabilizes in the future, the experts say it's going to be approximately 1 public charging station for every 10 EV cars. That's an incredible infrastructure that will need to be supported by a lot of people. And by 2030, the estimates are approximately 130,000 people will work in it. So that's the background. I think that's why we're all here. And we're all very excited about where this opportunity is going to take us forward through the program. And hopefully we can help you as you launch yourself into your career in this area. On to the details of our program. Just to put a real point on it, the EV technician program is targeted really at two different areas that combine under that umbrella. It is really targeted as maintenance and repair of electric vehicles, to allow automotive repair technicians to learn the skills and gain the knowledge they need to do that work that fits under their normal responsibilities in a shop or dealership, for example. And then the second area is the EV charging station. So our program is meant to train people to be able to install, maintain, and repair level 1, 2, and 3 charging stations. So the target audience being technicians and electricians who will work in that area. So that's the target for the program, and the opportunity for people in those areas to expand their knowledge and skills into EVs is quite incredible, and will be dramatically expanding over the next few years. Let's move into the content of the program, and Geet's going to take over and tell us a little bit about what's in the program. Over to you.
Thank you, Scott. Hello again, everyone. So I will walk you all through some of the details about the EV technician program that we offer. As we can see on the screen right now, there are 14 modules covered in the program. The course starts with an introductory module, the section which will enable the students to understand the areas that come under the umbrella of electric vehicles. It would be very brief, describing you all the different components of the EV, how the electric vehicle works, how the charging works, and all that. And once we look at the introductory module, and then the program will cover these areas one by one, starting with the basic electricity, DC circuits, AC circuits, and power electronics. Now, for some of you, this modules, you may find it very introduction. This modules will help individuals coming to the program without any prior electrical background. Now, we understand that for electrician, someone coming with an electrician background will be able to breeze through these modules pretty quickly. But again, for anyone who has not covered any topics based on electric vehicle, will learn a lot from this modules as well, because all the circuits and all the components and everything that we use in these modules are heavily focused on the electric vehicle. Now, next, the program extensively covers topics such as batteries and fuel cells, battery charging systems, battery being the brain and most expensive part of the electric vehicle. You will learn about the batteries used in EV, the main components of the battery management system, the troubleshooting and protective measures that needs to be taken for the EV batteries. Also, as we can see, the program covers very important modules such as DC motors and controls, and the AC motors and controls, where you'll learn about the applications of different DC motors used in the electric vehicle. Most importantly, you will be learning them using the practical examples and lab projects, focusing on its applications in the hybrid, battery, and fuel cell electric vehicles. Now, module 11 is the sensors and actuators used in EV. So this module will teach the operating principles of different sensors and digital cameras and how they are together used in the driver assist system. So you will be, as we can see, all the modules are very extensively covering the topics that are important to learn for EV technicians to work on electric vehicles and charging stations. We also cover the communication and control system. Now, one of the questions I saw earlier, Gaten, you posted, maybe I can address this right now, since we are talking about the communication and control system module here. You mentioned that if our program covers the ODB2 diagnosis or not. Unfortunately, no. So the ODB2 diagnosis is as we know, it's for ICE-based vehicles. It's the internal combustion engine vehicles, and a lot of the hybrid vehicles are still going to have that and carry out that because they are based on the ICE models. But some of the new electric vehicles like Tesla, they don't even come with the ODB2 port. But that doesn't mean it is not going to be there in the future vehicles. But the communication and the module that we cover in our program, the module 12, it covers all the communication protocols that are used in the EVs. It's the the CAN, the controller, and all those protocols that are used in the EV are covered in that module. It's we don't cover the ODB2, unfortunately. If we can go to the next slide, Scott, please. Oh, Scott, if you don't mind to, yeah, thank you. There you go. Very good. So let's take a look at one of the modules of the program. We looked at there are 14 modules in the previous slide. So this is just showing us different topics, different sections covered in module 7. As we can see in this module, you'll learn about different types of battery charging systems, charging connectors. Some EV manufacturers like Tesla have their own proprietary connectors. So you'll be learning about different types of connectors used by different manufacturers and how sometimes you can use the adapters to change from one connector to another connector. You'll also learn the principles of bidirectional charging, purpose of open charge point protocol, the OCCP, which is the application protocol for communication between EV charging stations and the central management system. So all that is covered in this module. You'll learn the EVSE installation. EVSE is the electric vehicle supply equipment installation, maintenance, troubleshooting, and safety is very important because you have to know the weather conditions, the breakage, the usage, all those safety considerations are covered in the module. So just like this, all the modules are very detailed, covering topics in very precise manner so that you will learn everything that you need to learn before you work on this EV cars or EV charging stations. We can go to the next slide here, Scott. Thank you. So here we're looking at one of the practical example in our module. As we know, for a technical training program, theory is not enough to learn all the necessary skills. It is very important to apply all the theory that you learn to a practical example, to a real-time example. So the program covers the interactive learning material, which combines the theory and lab projects to enhance the learning and understanding of these key concepts using this kind of practical applications. Now, this example we're looking at, it's asking you to calculate the approximate time it takes to charge Tesla Model S battery. So this is just one example. If you look at the bottom of the screen, there is a lab project button. When you click on the lab project, it will open up this circuit in a simulation software, and you can run the simulation to view the state of charge capacity and the battery voltage waveforms. So it's very interactive. You will be able to modify the circuit if you like. You'll be able to create the circuits on your own from scratch, depending on if you're working on a project. So the entire EV technician program features hundreds of animations, practical examples, interactive lab projects, and review questions, which will help you prepare to work in the EV sector. We can take a look at one of the lab project in the next slide. Thank you, Scott. So this is showing you it's just a screen capture, so you don't see the full interface of the circuit logic simulation here because there is a lot of EV components and equipments included on the simulation software, but we have this is just showing you the screen capture of the circuit design. The most important part of this course is that each topic in the modules, they are analyzed and demonstrated through the lab projects and practical examples using circuit logics and 3D lab. So and this will allow you to understand the concepts thoroughly, and the knowledge acquired, you'll be able to use it in a real-time application. Now, the course curriculum contains more than 200 pre-built lab projects, which will provide the much needed hands-on experience required to properly understand the operation of components used in EV as well as the charging stations. Students will be able to test, debug, troubleshoot, actual circuit schematics that are used in EV and the charging stations. And as one of the example we're looking at on the screen right now, this circuit simulation is for a unipolar stepper motor. Now, similar to this, various other electric motors, circuits and its applications are covered in the program. Just to give you a very simple example, it would be a DC motor would be specifically a brushed DC motor. It would be, they're used in wipers, power windows and doors of an EV car. So you will be learning the technology behind it. You'll be learning the circuits of how those DC motors control those different applications and everything throughout the program. We can go to the next slide here. Thank you. And so here, the format of the program is very intuitive and straightforward. It is offered in a web-based format. Students are required to download the software to their computer. Once you register for the program, you will be provided with a link to download the software package, and that includes, as we can see on the screen, the EV technician, electric vehicle technician, circuit logics, and 3D lab. Those are the 3 programs that will get installed on your computer. Everything you need to study is provided on the electric vehicle technician part, while the circuit logics and 3D lab are the simulation tools that you'll be using throughout the program to do all the lab projects. The course material is very every section on the module is provided with a review questions. So you will be using those review questions to prepare for your online exam. And online exams are taken are also web-based format. We can talk about that in the next slide. I think we have an example of online exam. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Thank you, Scott. So here we can see our online exams are web-based format. So you can take it. You can take your exam on any modern day browser like Chrome, Firefox, or Microsoft Edge, and they're very flexible. Just like our program, online exams can be taken any time of the day. There is no real a specific time allotted for it. You can, if for someone who is working during the day, studies in the evening, and they can take exam anytime of the night as well. It really doesn't make any difference. The exams are timed 90 minutes, and there are 30 questions you have to answer within those 90 minutes. You'll be required to score 60% or more on all 14 modules to successfully complete the program. Oops, not sure what's going on the screen, but so you'll be required to score 60% or more on all 14 modules to successfully complete the program and to get an EV technician certificate from the college. Let's look at the next slide. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. So the student support, as we know, for a technical training program like EV technician, there are going to be a lot of questions. This program being online, self-paced, home study, that doesn't mean there is no support available. If you're ever stuck on a math question or a lab project, or any, or you need any help in troubleshooting a practical example you're working on, you can always reach out to us at the support center by phone, email, or student forum. We have a student forum available as well. Along with the tutorial support, if you ever need help, technical help for any kind of install issue, like if you need help to install the software on a computer, or if you're using a company-based computer where other things are conflicting to install the software, our dedicated support team will be more than happy to help you with any kind of technical needs as well. We have a dedicated toll-free phone number. I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen, but maybe Iris or
I'll add that number, not to worry, in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Iris. So we have the toll-free line. You can reach out to us or by email if you need to send us our inquiry by email. And last, we will look at the hardware requirements for the program. It is very minimal hardware required to run the software, even though our simulation tools are very sophisticated. The 3D lab runs on the 3D modeling in the back end. It still does not require a high-end computer. As we can see, a very simple computer with a 2 GB RAM and 500 MB of free space on the hard drive is more than sufficient to run the EV technician and simulation programs. One basic requirement that we ask students to have for the EV technician program is that they'll need a computer running Windows operating system. Unfortunately, our programs are not compatible with Mac OS, Linux, or Chrome OS, or any other operating system. They're strictly Windows based. The circuit logics and 3D lab simulation tools, they are not graphics intensive at all. So you will not need a computer with a with a dedicated graphics card on it. A very simple computer with decent CPU, such as Intel Pentium or equivalent processor, is more than enough to run both curriculum as well as the simulation tools. Since our program is offered in a web-based format, you will be required to have an internet connection to access the curriculum. The simulation tools, and they get installed locally, so you can run all the circuit simulation and everything. You can practice them even when you're offline. But the curriculum part of the program needs internet connection, as well as when you're doing your online exams, since they are web-based. You will have to be connected to internet when you're taking your online exam. I think that's it on my end. Scott, over to you to take it further. I'm not sure if is it just me seeing the red lines on the screen, or is it for?
I'm seeing them as well, Geet. I'm not sure what's going on. I think we're just going to have to ignore it for now. We apologize for that. That I don't think it was. I'm the one who controlled the screen, and I don't think I did that. So we'll just proceed around it. Sorry, folks, that you're going to have to read a little bit around that, but we apologize. So let me jump in. Thanks, Geet. That's a lot of information on this, on the content itself of the program, and we're going to have a little bit of time at the end for you guys to ask more questions about it. I just want to cover 3 quick questions that are very common and that are often in people's minds when they're considering our program as an option to take their training in, and it's got to do with accreditation and credentialing and certification and certificate and all the complex interaction of those words. I want to start by saying GBC is a fully accredited college. We are run by the province of Ontario here in Canada. We are a Crown corporation. We are one of the largest colleges in Toronto. We have a long history of offering online technical training with a broad range of courses and programs. We also have a long history of partnering with U.S. colleges who offer our programs in their jurisdictions, and so I think you can rest assured and have confidence that our college is respectable and legitimate and offers programs of very high quality. We often get the question around accreditation in the United States. Accreditation is a complicated word. We are fully accredited in Canada. We're not accredited per se in the United States because Canadian institutions don't get accredited in the US, and US institutions don't get accredited in Canada. But really what is maybe the most important answer to the question is that our partner colleges, of which there are 9, are fully accredited institutions in the US. So if you're looking at joining us through in the US, and you can join George Brown directly, or you can join one of our partner colleges. We are currently working with 4 of them to get them up to speed and up and running with EV very shortly. So that'll be happening soon. But it's the same program run that we coordinate with them. So the content is the same, and ultimately the knowledge and skills delivered are the same. We can come back and tell you more about partnerships if you're interested in the questions. So the question about, can I take your program and work in my state or work in my province once I graduate from your program. The certification for these areas of auto mechanics and the electrical fields are very complicated across Canada and the U.S., and they're managed and delivered differently by state and by province. For example, some states in the U.S. don't even license auto mechanics. For example, I know there's 3 states that don't. So there's a wide range of very complex baseline. The important thing is that if you want to confirm that, you should always check with local, state, or provincial level requirements. We are a new program. This is a whole new area that's emerging. So we are looking at all of those things, and we are looking to align ourselves with different kinds of certification as they emerge, but they're only just emerging now. So you'll hear more about that in the future, and we will be working towards participating in more national and provincial certifications as they emerge in this growing field. So always check locally to see what the requirements are there. But maybe the most important question, that what you're really asking when you ask that question, is how quickly can I move into a job in my area? Well, the answer to that is, if you are an existing auto technician and then are going to layer on the EV course, or if you're an electrician and going to layer on the EV course to work in charging stations, you can probably move fairly quickly. If you don't have the foundation background, it would be a more complex and elaborate process. Second question that we get a lot of from prospective students is, what are the entry requirements? Our entry requirements are very modest. Basically, we require high school diploma as your baseline. Obviously, if you're an operating electrician or auto mechanic, you've had post-secondary training in those areas, so you come to it with additional requirements. But you don't have to have that to enter our program and get the benefits from our program. Some experience in electronics is helpful. Some experience with EVs, of course, is helpful. But our program is meant to be independent and self-contained, allowing you to move quickly through the content. You can move around in the content. You can move forward and back in the content to acquire the information and the skills that you need most urgently to do whatever it is that you're doing. But again, our typical student profile that's emerging, again, we've only been registering students into the program now since really the end of August. So we're just in startup phase with the program. But typically we're seeing auto technicians, electricians, and other technically minded people coming to it. Of course, you can enter the program without those technical backgrounds. And as the job market emerges for EV technicians, we'll see where the positions evolve to. There will always be auto mechanics. There will always be electricians. I suspect there will also be charging station technicians, for example, of a slightly lower level, given the volume of work that's going to be required for charging station installation, maintenance, and repair. Maybe take out the installation part, and then maybe a lower level technician can participate on that basis under the supervision of an electrician. So again, it's an emerging marketplace with lots of interesting things happening, and those things will present themselves as they evolve, and we hear about them. The last question that's often most common about what interested students are looking for is the cost and registration questions. This is on our website, but I've just recapped it here. $1,750 is the registration for the whole program. You can start on a pay-as-you-go basis and register one module at a time. It's open enrollment. You can start anytime. You can register personally and pay for it personally, or you can have your company register you in and provide tuition reimbursement. We're very flexible with these things. We've seen it all before with our other 6 programs. It's very broad. We understand that different companies and individuals have different circumstances, and we believe we can accommodate all of that. I'll wrap up. I'll summarize with this last slide, just to say that we believe that our program is one of the most comprehensive programs for EV theory and practice that you're going to find out there. There's a lot of different alternatives, everything from short, 3-day courses to 12 weeks for 10 hours a week to some longer ones that begin to approach what we do, but nothing quite as comprehensive or as specialized as ours, or available remotely at a distance as ours. So those are our significant characteristics that differentiate us from everything else. At the end of it, you'll get a EV technician certificate of completion that gets you 56 CEUs, or continuing education units. You'll get that experience with the circuit simulators, that the high voltage EV circuitry, which is so important to learn, and because it's dangerous and you need to understand what's going on and what the risk factors are, and our simulation approach can give you that. But maybe most importantly, you come out of it with knowledge and skills and confidence in the area of EVs, both in terms of maintaining cars and in terms of charging stations. So we hope this overview has been helpful to get you oriented around our program. We're going to go into questions, Q&A now. We're going to start the Q&A by asking you a quick question. Ricky, if you could post that quick poll. We've got a 2-question poll that we'd love to get your feedback on. And if as we're going through Q&A, if you could answer the poll and tell us a little bit about who you are and give us that feedback, that'll be really interesting for us to be able to incorporate back in what we're doing. So, Geet, let's move into the Q&A session. We have a number of pre-supplied questions that we're going to address. We're a little bit behind schedule, so we're going to try and move through them fairly quickly and succinctly. I'm going to go to the first question, and it's from Shafiq. And he asks about prerequisites, and we've covered a little bit about that, so I'm not going to go over that again. He asks a very direct question. After this certificate, can I find or work at a big company like Tesla or other major companies in the US or Canada? The answer is yes, but of course it depends on the rest of your background. If you are an electrician or an auto mechanic and you layer on our EV training, that's going to position you really well to move forward in both the charging and the EV maintenance and repair field. But you may not have those things. So I hate to have to say it depends, but it does depend on your credentials, your job experience, and what you've done before. Let's move on to a question from Nima. Geet.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Scott. I can take that one. So the question from Nima is, how can I apply for this course, and can I get OSAP for it? Nima, the registration process is very simple and straightforward. You can register on our website, evtechnician.com, or you can do it over the phone with one of our program advisors. Feel free to give us a call if you have any questions about the program. Our advisors are very knowledgeable to answer any question. To answer your second question, our program unfortunately do not qualify for OSAP. One of the requirements for OSAP is that the program needs to be a full-time in-school program. And this EV technician program being a fully online self-paced, it does not qualify for OSAP. However, as Scott mentioned earlier in the registration fee section, we do have the pay-as-you-go option where one can register with the initial payment, where they don't have to pay for the full program. They only have to pay for the initial amount, which will give them access to not just the course curriculum for all 14 modules, but also the simulation tools. And you get lifetime license to both curriculum software as well as the simulation tools. And then you can pay as you go as you finish all 14 modules one by one. I think
okay, I'm going to jump in with a question from David, and again he's asking about the big job question. So we've sort of addressed that, and I'll just hit his last question, which is kind of summarizing it. Will this program, in summary, will this program stand alone as a fast track option to gain employment installing, maintaining, and servicing EV charging stations. So the answer, I think, is if you have the background as an electrician, David, then I think you've got the foundation. The EV charging station component of the program will give you, I think, pretty much all you need to learn, all you need to work on those things, and then you would have the opportunity to pursue jobs, I think, in that field. Maybe we could, Geet, could you touch on Vernon's question?
Sure, yeah, I can answer the one. I think there's one more question before one, and I can cover that quickly. The question is from Filiberto, and he's asking if we cover designing in the EV training. So I'm assuming by designing he meant to say the circuit designing, and the answer is yes. We extensively cover the design, test, debug, and troubleshooting of the circuits and components used in the electric vehicle as well as the charging station. Now, there are over 150 pre-built lab projects that are based on electricity and electronics, which are covered in the program. As well as there are more than 50 lab projects focused primarily on the EV cars, on the EV technology. So apart from this, the simulation software is very powerful for you to design your own circuits from scratch. So you're more than welcome to use the simulation software for that kind of purpose as well. Okay, and maybe I can answer David's question as well, Scott.
I think I covered David. You're okay. Go ahead to Vernon.
Oh, Vernon. Okay, thank you. Right. So Vernon's question here is if we cover supply voltage source requirements per charging station as well as the safety procedures for them. The answer is yes, and I think I covered most of it in one of our slides where we were looking at the module 7. Module 7 is where all of this is covered. So we extensively cover this in our program, different level 1, level 2, level 3 charging stations and different kind of requirements for it, different safety protocols you need to follow for it. So all that is very much covered. In fact, Vernon, if you're here, what you can do is you can check out the program outline section on our website, which provides the detailed description of all the topics that we cover in our modules. And module 7 is where you'll find the details about the questions you're asking. Okay, Scott, is there a question that you would like to cover?
I think you can move on to Michael, or should we?
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, I do see that. Yeah, the question from Michael here is how many hours work per module on average? We don't have a specific breakdown of how many hours you will need per module, but on an average, like Scott mentioned earlier, it takes about 32 weeks to finish the entire program on a part-time basis. But again, it will all depend on your background. If you have some kind of electrical or mechanical background, you'll be able to finish it a lot faster. Again, this program is very self-paced and flexible, so there is no predetermined time limit that we have from our end. It is absolutely up to the students on how fast or slow they want to go through the program. They are more than welcome to finish it in a week or take a year. It's completely up to them.
On to a question from Jeff. After completing EV, will I be able to and be proficient in repairing and servicing EV and repairing and servicing installation EV charging stations? The answer is yes. Of course, your background, either as an electrician or as an auto repair technician, is the foundation that you'll build that on. Is the EV technician program accredited in the U.S.? Again, to my earlier comments, we do have a number of partners in the U.S., number of partner colleges that operate there and are accredited institutions. We also operate there, but the term accredited in the U.S. is complicated because as Canadian schools, we don't seek that. The U.S. schools that we have a relationship with, University of Houston downtown, Miracosta College, Westchester, and Allegheny College. All of those colleges are partner colleges, and we're working on getting EV up and running to be available to them probably by January. So it's coming very quickly. And to your last question, how many students do we have? We opened in the middle of August and started enrolling students at the end of August. So our officially enrolled students is fairly small. We've got approximately 20 students enrolled so far. That's accelerating every day, and we would love to have you join that list of students. And with that question, I think I'll wrap up the session on pre-submitted questions, and let's go to Iris to feed us a few questions that have come in over the session. Go ahead, Iris. What do you got?
I think that you answered a number of them, but we got a question asking, would it be best if I took this course along with an automotive service tech program? I'm looking to get into EV auto tech apprentice job.
An automotive service tech position. So that sounds like a program at a college or a private institution where you're training to become an auto service mechanic technician. And I think you'll need that because there's a lot of, if you want to be an EV car technician, you'll need that as your foundation. And then you would layer on EV on top of it.
Thank you. Another question we got is regarding the red seal. Will I have to hold a red seal in automotives to work on the car side and a red seal in electrical to work on the charging side?
There's been some interesting developments on that front as different jurisdictions have moved forward with adding EV training, EV curriculum into their program. For example, I know that in British Columbia, they began offering what they were calling as a micro credential within a red seal automotive service tech that covered EV maintenance. So, and that was like a 36-hour course. So I think that what's going to happen with red seal, as you would assume, they're going to layer both EV and probably charging station curriculum and certification, because they are officially a certification for the tasks and the knowledge required to do them into their portfolio. So those programs will likely expand their content and training to incorporate EV cars and EV charging stations.
Thanks, Scott. We have another question from Hira, who asks, he doesn't have electrical or ICE auto experience. So can he still take the course and work as an EV technician after the course?
You can certainly still take the course. As we talked about, the requirements are modest to enter the course. The question then becomes, what jobs are you qualified to do? And as the EV market evolves, I think that will shape the kind of opportunity that will be out there for you. Without being an electrician or an auto technician, those directions you're limited in. But I think overall that there's going to be such a requirement. I think we said there was over 100,000 jobs coming in EV in Canada in the next few years, and multiply that times 10 in the United States. So there are going to be literally millions of jobs in North America in this area that are going to need to be filled. And there's only so many electricians and so many car mechanics that can move only so quickly. I believe, and this is my personal theory, and I think that it's reflected in the way that I've spent time very recently looking at job postings to understand what the companies are describing as their requirements. Many of them will say, I need a license. In California, I need the what was it, Section 11 automotive license or something to that effect. And then in other jurisdictions, they just said that they wanted people with related knowledge and experience in a certain area. And I think part of the reason it's such a broad spectrum is because there's so many people needed in the field right now, is that they're kind of throwing it open to people with less experience if they can to try and fill the demand that they have. It's not to say you're going to get one of those other higher level positions, but I think that there will be doorways opening for technicians at an intermediate level where you're working with probably level 2 charging under the supervision of an electrician that might give you the opportunity that you're looking for.
There aren't any other questions on the chat end that I haven't already answered. So unless somebody, I'm done on my end.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Iris. We appreciate that. I think we're well past our originally intended time. We're about 45 minutes into the session. It looks like most of you are still there. We appreciate your participation and your involvement in the questions. We hope that we've been able to answer most of your questions. We know it's complicated, and we know that maybe I haven't given precise answers in certain areas because sometimes as things are evolving like this, and as all of the accreditation issues and the certification issues are maturing and rapidly taking shape, we don't have the answers, but we'll be pursuing them as hard as you will be in the near future to be able to provide more on that as we go. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate your involvement, and we
Sorry,
hope that
Scott. Can I
a
just?
lot out of it.
There is one more question from Jeff that I missed. If you have no mechanic, auto tech, or electrical background and have been working in the auto industry, would you be proficient in repair servicing EVs and repair servicing and installation EV charging stations? So in other words, after the program, would you be proficient?
I think you would need other training. I think you would need auto mechanic training and in the auto mechanic side, and you would need electrician training to handle certain things. So the answer is no, you're not going to be able to walk into those positions without a broader base of training. It would get you started, and it would certainly give you the context to work in the field, but it's not going to give you a specific pathway into those two particular jobs. There's one more question from Richard asking about exemptions for people who've covered modules in electronics, and we do have those details. And Richard, maybe we can follow up with you and send that information to you. Iris, maybe we can make a note of that and get back to Richard with those details. I think if I recall correctly, there's 4 or 5 modules from electronics that overlap. Is that correct?
Yes, so I did answer that question in the chat a number of times. So there are about 5 overlapping modules. So if you've taken the electronics or electromechanical and there's 1 robotics overlap, you will be eligible for exemptions. But that's directly from taking RET or EM program.
Okay, thank you, Iris. I would like to thank everyone who answered the poll. That's really great and helpful information for us to understand who's interested in our programs. We really appreciate that. I think we will wrap up today. If you have any more questions or would like more information, please feel free to contact us directly. We have an 800 number listed there. You can call us. Our Student Support Center is open from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 9 to 5 on Saturdays. So you can reach an advisor who can answer any more questions and help you understand our program and what it offers and any of the details around it. We'll be sending out a follow-up package that will provide a link to the video and any other material that we've decided would be appropriate given the questions. You should get that in a few days. Thank you very much. We appreciate your participation today, and we'll sign off for now. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It was great to have you all here. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.